Well, I mean, look, the other women have Big Jim, to thank now for eliminating some of their competition. She said that she's 7 weeks pregnant, which means that when she cashed in her Money in the Bank to win the world title, she was with child, which makes her the first Money in the Bank winner to do so, if there is a category for such a thing. If not, there is now. They didn't announce anything as far as the Women's Championship goes, but with one Raw left before Clash in Paris, they're going to have to make a decision tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, but I'm so used to doing these shows on Sunday. They're going to have to make a decision on Monday. And I still maintain the easiest thing to do and the most sensible idea is to make a match between Io Sky and Stephanie Vicaire. Because Io was supposed to get a title match with Naomi, which never happened, right? That's when she found out she was pregnant. The match got called off. Stephanie won a battle royal at Evolution to earn a championship match. Turning it into a multi-person match would not be very fair to Stephanie. Now, would it? Right? She earned a match against the champion. Io is owed a match. Just do Io Sky against Stephanie Vicaire for the vacant title. That's all you really need to do. Now, they could add Roxanne Perez to the match if they want to, because Roxanne could argue she pinned Io 2 weeks ago, which she did. That was the replacement match for Io against Naomi. They did Io against Roxanne, and Roxanne pinned Io Sky, something that Rhea Ripley has never been able to do. So you could make it a triple threat. You could have Io pin Roxanne to get her win back, and that also spares them from having to pin Stephanie. Because even if they do Io against Stephanie, I would have Io win the title back. Like Stephanie Vicaire getting pinned in a competitive match by Io Sky, not a big deal. I'm just saying, if they turn it into a triple threat or a fatal four-way or something like that, you could then spare Stephanie from having to take the pin, if that matters, if that's a big deal. But I just think it's way too soon to, belt up Stephanie. She's barely even been on the show since Evolution. She's almost been forgotten about. Just put the belt back on Io until Perth in October. And in Perth, Rhea Ripley finally beats Io Sky for the first time, and she wins back the Women's World Championship. She runs with it for a few months until they're ready to do Rhea against Stephanie next year, maybe at WrestleMania. Stephanie wins the championship from Rhea Ripley. That'll be a big, big win for her. That's it. That's really all you have to do. And Liv Morgan is probably going to be back, I would imagine, in time for the Royal Rumble, probably the beginning of next year. It doesn't need to be for the championship. You can go into a program or, a story with her and Roxanne. That would be a solid sort of underneath story that doesn't really need the championship. So as far as like the key players are concerned, and that doesn't even include whatever Becky Lynch is going to be doing, that accounts for most of the key players on the Raw side, and that takes you right into WrestleMania season. And that leads nicely into my Clash in Paris predictions for next Sunday with a 2 p.m. Eastern start time. And just like Forbidden Door tomorrow, my plan is to go live at 8 p.m. that night. I think that'll work well tomorrow, and if it does, we'll do the same thing for Clash in Paris next weekend. And then we'll push the podcast out a day early. I have not seen any attendance numbers for this show. It's an indoor arena, but it's a big one. It fits up to 45,000 people for concerts. For a show like this, it's probably more like 30 to 35,000, which is still a lot of people. But there was a note in the Observer this week that tickets have not been selling that well because they completely priced themselves out of the market with their most expensive seats. People are not buying them up like they expected them to. And look, they're still going to have a lot of people there, and it should be very loud, but it definitely will not be sold out. Which can only mean one thing. Ari Emanuel is on the phone as we speak to Dwayne. Dwayne, we need you. We need you. We need you to come snatch up some souls. So the card right now is incomplete. This is pending their decision on the women's world title situation and what other matches they might add. They have a few possibilities. Cody Rhodes against Drew McIntyre for the WWE title being the most obvious one, but that just feels like a WrestlePalooza match to me. Plus, Cody missed Smackdown again this week, so there's not enough time to set that up for Paris anyway. Maybe Becky Lynch on that show defends her Intercontinental title against Nikki Bella. Maybe Dominic Mysterio defends his Intercontinental title against AJ Styles. Sami Zayn, we know, is getting a U.S. title match against Solo Sikoa in Lyon, France on SmackDown next week. So that will not be on the PLE. But Here is what the card looks like as of right now. Sheamus and Rusev, they have been fighting like cats and dogs for weeks now. They're both even at 1 win apiece. And now they're actually getting a PLE spot. The only other PLE match that Sheamus has been a part of all year was the Royal Rumble. And if you can believe it, this will mark his first singles match on a PLE in 3 years. You would have to go all the way back to Clash at the Castle in 2022 when he challenged Gunther for the Intercontinental title. That was the last time. Outside of that, it's been all tags and triple threats and War Games matches, and not even that many of them. But this time it'll be a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match, which is basically anything goes, but with barrels at ringside. I mean, maybe they can play him out to the ring to roll out the barrel. It would still be better than that garbage that Def Rebel gave him. I think Sheamus wins this. He's 1-1 in Donnybrook matches so far. He lost one to Drew McIntyre and he beat Pete Dunne in the other. But this is his specialty. I think the babyface wins this, so I'm going with Sheamus. Again, the Women's World Championship will be decided on this show. How exactly, we don't know, but so long as Io Sky is in the match, I'm picking Io Sky to win the belt back. I know she's got her own story going on right now with Rhea Ripley and the Kabuki Warriors. It's probably building to a tag team match. If they put the title on Stephanie, I'm fine with it. I just think it's too soon to do that. If they put the title on Roxanne, because apparently they're very, very high on Roxanne, I would not hate it, but I really don't think she needs it when Liv Morgan comes back. Io Sky is the way to go. She is your next Women's World Champion. Roman Reigns returned on Raw Monday night. He came to the aid of Jey Uso in his Extreme Rules match against Braun Breaker. He challenged Bronson Reed to a match in Paris. Reed accepted, and he promised to steal Roman's shoes again. I don't see Roman Reigns losing to Bronson Reed. Braun Breaker, sure, maybe, but not Bronson Reed. Because remember, he is Roman, that is, likely disappearing again after this match because he's scheduled to go film for Street Fighter all of next month through the 26th, I believe, is what PW Insider was reporting. So, I mean, if he's going away, you could destroy him first, even if you don't beat him. I still don't think he's going to lose, but you could do an angle after the match where, you kind of destroy him and send him on his way. The thing is, though, like, he just got destroyed. He's already coming off of an angle where he got destroyed and he was gone for a few weeks. Now, granted, it was all of 2 weeks, but they already did an angle like that. I don't know if they want to do another one again so soon after the last one. I don't even know if he's going to be on Raw that Monday. He starts filming on September 2nd, I believe. That's the day after Raw. And they're filming in Australia. So he may not even be there. I mean, that Clash in Paris match may be it for him for the next month. But I'm going with Roman Reigns to win. John Cena goes one-on-one with Logan Paul. This is not a match that I have been terribly excited about, although Logan Paul was the MVP of that tag team match, the celebrity match at SummerSlam with, Jelly Roll. And he's had some great matches. Absolutely. And I always give him credit for the matches that he has. He goes out there and more often than not, he tries to steal the show, and a lot of times he does. So him against John Cena, in many ways, he's a really good opponent for John Cena because whatever John Cena can't do, Logan Paul can. And Logan Paul can, bump all over the place for him and do all kinds of stuff that John Cena can react to, but John Cena is not going to be the one doing all these dazzling, show-stealing moves here. So in that regard, I think he's a good opponent for him, but I can't say that this match had me terribly excited. And then we got to Smackdown on Friday night, and John Cena was back, and John Cena was on Smackdown in Dublin, Ireland, and he didn't even get a word out before Logan Paul crashed the party. And Logan Paul cut a promo on John Cena, and it was fine. Yeah, it was a perfectly fine promo, but then John Cena got to retort. And he took the microphone, and for the next 5 minutes straight, he cut what was easily one of the best promos of this entire retirement run so far. It is something that is worth going out of your way to watch the whole thing in full. I cannot say that he buried Logan Paul. I mean, in some ways he did, but this was not a promo where he buried Logan Paul. He put the man over for his abilities. He was careful at the beginning of this to put him over and call him a future WWE champion, a future WrestleMania main eventer. And he's looking at the fans and going, guys, I know you don't like it. I know you don't want to hear it, but he's not going nowhere. We're not going to get rid of him. You know, he's here to stay, and he's actually really, really good. But then from there, he went the opposite way, and he focused on the criticisms that a lot of fans have about him and a lot of the things the fans don't like about him and how disrespectful he can be. And now they're kind of playing it up for the story about how disrespectful he can be and, oh, you're only here to take advantage of us and use us. And he's showing us the Prime hydration station at ringside and talking about his drone. And you're here for moments and all this other stuff. But there's a lot of truth to what he's saying. And even if there isn't a lot of truth, there's a lot of fans who believe a lot of what he was saying here in this promo. And he's tapping into all these different criticisms. But he did it in a way where it was some of the best work I've seen from him on the mic all year. Like when Cena is on, he is untouchable. He really, and we've seen that before, right? We saw that in the promo years ago with Roman Reigns, the big dog, where he just eviscerated him and embarrassed him on the mic. Like one of the most embarrassing moments ever in a promo segment like that I can remember, especially with like two top guys, was when Roman lost his train of thought in that promo. And Cena literally is just kind of leaning back up against the ropes. And he just goes, take your time. Take your time. And then he said some other stuff as well. But then he hit him with that line, there at the end about how, I came back because you can't do your job. He'll always get like at least that one line in there that just burns the other person to the ground. And Austin Theory, a few years ago, forget about it. That was just a complete burial job. And Austin Theory was never the same after that. So this wasn't quite that bad. This wasn't as biting as that was. But even here, he's going on about how, these fans resent you because you've wasted part of what little time I have left here in this retirement run where I could be working with like future legends and stars like Dominic Mysterio and AJ Styles and Seth Rollins and Jacob Fatu. And so, the fans don't appreciate the fact that I'm wasting my time with you, and I'm wasting my time with a backflipping YouTuber who's, pushing saltwater and just on and on and on and just really lacing into this guy. But he's all up at his face and he says, look, Clash in Paris is an opportunity for you to prove yourself. It's a proving ground, in effect, for Logan Paul. It's really nice, that you've had 23 wonderful matches so far in your WWE career, but I've had 23 years worth of matches in my career. You've got some catching up to do. And so just from start to finish, top to bottom, I thought that this was just excellent stuff. Easily the highlight of the show on Friday. And now there's a story there that I can buy into. Right now I have a reason to actually care about this match just based on what John Cena was saying in that promo. He was able to kind of reel me in. And that's what I was looking for here. They made the match and it's like, okay, great, you made the match, but like there's no real hook there. And I felt like he gave us that hook on Friday night as best as they can. Now, later on in the show, McIntyre was in the back, Drew McIntyre. He was talking to Logan Paul. And he was telling him, like, this isn't 2010. This isn't Super Cena. You've got to show him what you can do tonight. Like, you've got to retaliate, basically, for what he just did to you out there. And it was very interesting that McIntyre was the one giving him this pep talk and saying all these things about John Cena, because it felt to me like they were planting the seed for a future match, possibly, between McIntyre and Cena. I don't want to say McIntyre is going to be John Cena's retirement opponent, but I definitely think he's under consideration for that. I mean, I think that Gunther and John Cena is the match that I would like to see, but if they went with Drew McIntyre, I mean, that works too. Or maybe the answer lies in the list of names that Cena rattled off, against Logan last night in the ring. All those people, that he could be wrestling instead of Logan Paul. Again, he named Dominic Mysterio, and I don't think it's going to be Dom. But he named AJ Styles. I would love to see another John Cena AJ Styles match. Do I see that as his retirement match? I don't. But you know who I could see? Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu is another name that he dropped. And it's another babyface like AJ is. I don't think that would stop them from doing babyface against babyface in Cena's retirement match. But Jacob Fatu maybe is on that short list as well of potential opponents. If you were to ask me right now, who do I think is the favorite, or there's a list, I don't even have like a top 3. I have a top 2 of guys who I would love to see wrestle John Cena, and realistically, I think it could be either one of them. It's Gunther and Drew McIntyre. I really do. I think it's probably going to end up being one of those two. And in either case, I'm okay with that. But after what McIntyre said to Logan in the back, it led to the closing segment on the show on Friday, which was Nick Aldis rushing out. As Cena was leaving, Nick Aldis rushes over to him and says, "I just got off the phone with Brock Lesnar." And before he could tell Cena whatever it is that he was going to tell him, Logan Paul flies in with a right hand and a knockout shot. That missed by a good 6 inches, because this man was being very careful not to really punch John Cena in the jaw. Probably has that jaw insured for his next movie. But I was watching it on international Netflix with the VPN, so I saw it live in the afternoon on Friday. And then I saw that when it aired on USA later that night, it looked bad enough. And they recognized it looked bad enough from that angle that they actually reshot the entire scene. And this wasn't just the same scene from a different angle. Like, this was a completely different scene. They just reshot it afterwards. This time from a different perspective, so it didn't look as bad. But he left John Cena laying, which I think he kind of had to do to get that heat back. I know they have one more Smackdown before Clash in Paris, but whether it was last night or whether it was next week, Logan getting his heat back in some way makes sense, because I just don't see him going over here. I've got John Cena beating Logan Paul. And then we have Seth Rollins in the main event defending the World Heavyweight Championship against CM Punk, LA Knight, and Jey Uso. Rollins just cashed in to win the title at SummerSlam. No matter how hard they try to sell us on his title being in jeopardy because it's 3 other men and he doesn't have to be pinned to lose the championship, it's a tough sell because no one sees him dropping that title here. If Punk gets the belt back, it won't be until WrestleMania. LA Knight winning the title just doesn't seem realistic anymore. And Jey Uso shouldn't even be in this match. I don't even think he's in the match to eat the pin. I think that's why LA Knight is in there. Who gets the next shot, though, at WrestlePalooza or at Crown Jewel? That I don't know. Could be Punk again. I mean, it's the feud that'll never die. But one thing I can tell you is that Seth Rollins is walking in as the World Heavyweight Champion to Paris, and he will be leaving as the World Heavyweight Champion. Seth Rollins will win the Fatal 4-Way match.